What happened between the relationship of China and Philippines? Why there is a tension between them? Why China claimed the islands that is far from them yet near to the Philippines? Is it because of the natural resources? Or China trying to expand their territories? This is Joyce and Lorraine, and this is Jiao Short Documentary.
SSE 115 Comparative Government and Politics.
The territorial dispute between China and Philippines is a hot issue since 1989 until today. The tension happened to exist when both parties were arguing about Spratly Islands, not just the China, but as well as the neighboring countries. The neighboring countries were also claiming their territories. The controversy started when China claimed the South China Sea with their 9-line, including the Spratly Islands, were they sweeping claims of sovereignty over the sea. Spratly Islands is a group of more or less 7,500 islands. It consists of more than 100 small island reefs surrounded by rich fishing grounds and potentially by gas and oil deposits. It is located in the southern Eastern Asia. This was claimed entirely by China, Taiwan, and Vietnam, while the portions are claimed by Malaysia and the Philippines. The issue about this is that China's use of dredge, sand, and coral to build artificial islands, farms reef system, illegal fishing practices, and indiscriminately harvest endangered species, including sea turtles and giant clams. These doings of China remain controversial. To further understand the territorial dispute between the countries and who really owns the Spratly Island, let's know and uncover the claims of both parties regarding the Spratly Islands. China claims that the vast majority of the South China Sea for itself in accordance with the 9-line. The borderline originated in a slightly different version in the 1930s, which the claims was based on historic document. China argued they have a historical claim to the South China Sea dating back to the naval expedition in the 15th century and that they were sailing for the past 2,000 years in that territory. As for the Philippines, they claim that the Spratly Islands are belong to the West Philippine Sea, which it is still part of their EEZ or the Exclusive Economic Zone. It is in the 1987 Philippines Constitution, Article 12, Section 2, that the state shall protect the nation's marine wealth in its archipelagic waters, territorial sea, and exclusive economic zone, and reserve its use and enjoyment exclusively to Filipino citizens. They also claim that the Spratly Islands is geographically natural part of the Philippine archipelago of the 7,107 islands. It is only 100 km from the island of Palawan and closer to the Philippines than any other claimant. Also, according to our Senior Associate Justice Supreme Court of the Philippines, Honorable Antonio Carpio, that on 1734, Father Morello Villardi already came up with a map of the Philippines with Scarborough Shoal named Panacot, that is 213 years before China drew the 9-lines. According to the UNCLOS or the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which says a country's territorial waters extend 200 nautical miles off their shore, and an area called the Exclusive Economic Zone or the EEZ. The China's EEZ is far from the Spratly Islands, which their claim is not valid and justifiable. July 12, 2016, the Arbitral Tribunal in the South China Sea arbitration in The Hague ruled in favor of the Philippines in a maritime dispute Tuesday, concluding China has no legal basis to claim historic rights to the bulk of the South China Sea. Their nine-dash line overlap in their EEZ and Spratly Islands is not belong to them. This issue is still a hot topic in different news. The tension between Philippines and China have resurfaced last February, with China announcing that it will push for a code of conduct in the disputed waters of the South China Sea. The Philippine Coast Guard says it is stepping up patrols in the area where Chinese vessels continue to linger. To further understand this matter, I interviewed 5 people about this controversy. Without further ado, let's go. Good morning, ma'am. By the way, what's your name?
I'm Hannah Mason from ESL Social Studies.
So, good morning. I am Cherry Lumaki.
I'm Crisaldo Lucimo, 20 years of age.
I'm Brian Mayran.
So, I have a few questions about the dispute between China and the Philippines. So, are you aware of the dispute between China and the Philippines over the Spratly Islands?
Yes, I am aware of some studies. That's the he must be aware. Yes, I have seen it on TV.
Yes po. Yes, I'm here.
Yes.
So, what can you say about the issue?
I guess that issue is very alarming for all of us because by the very beginning, the Spratly Islands are owned by the Filipinos and it is only for the Filipinos. However, the Chinese government are pursuing actions on owning that, which is what I've said earlier, that is very alarming.
Actually, the Chinese and Philippine issue is not new to us, especially me as a student. This issue starting back, I guess, 2012 when we start, and I think one of the reasons here is that China, not sila yung basihan na nine-dash line come up. If you're familiar with it, if you trace back history, one reason why China is really trying to claim the Spratly Islands is because it has something to do with their claim na kanang map is ilahag daw sa China sa China. So the reason not only pop up na issue is because the region na nasa Spratly Islands is wala siya kanang daghang mga unreserved natural resources na gina-explore sa Chinese government. And it's not just China the claim ang place. Other neighboring countries such as Vietnam, sa Taiwan, na in conflict with the Philippines. Ang Philippines magod kay naa sila sa UNCLOS, if you're familiar with the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. Every country na sila ay exclusive economic zone and 200 miles gikan sa South Island, and then yung Spratly Islands basically geographically belongs to the Philippines. Now the dispute there, when we say dispute kay it's a war one, the dispute there is that China is claiming something that is actually not gikan nila. But the thing, the dispute is here is because China now is really trying to create an artificial island because mo na nga nagka-dispute sila is because ano nga issue na between the Spratly Islands.
So, based on my knowledge, the dispute between the Philippines and China over the Spratly Islands is because the China is claiming that the Spratly Islands is their territory, and the Philippines, they're not okay with this because, as stated by the law, we have legal basis na ang Spratly Islands is under our territory.
Philippines and China were fighting over the Spratly Islands, and for me personally, of course, it's quite it's been it's something such as part of the Philippines territory, but then again, they have a since they are most powerful sila in terms of military forces and things more they're powerful and secure.
So, kini nga issue mahitungod kini sa lali sa duha ka nasod nga mao si China ug ang Philippines tungod sa Spratly Islands. Kining duha ka nasod ning claim sila nga sila ang tag-iya sa Spratly Islands nga mao nang hinungdan nga ilang ginahawayan. Si China ning claim sila nga sila ang tag-iya apan ang atong countryside ning claim sad sila kitay tag-iya. But kung but hunahunaon bahin sa akong nadunggan lang nga issue sa mga balita, ang kining Spratly Islands na belong jud ni sa atong EEZ, which means layo ra jud siya sa lugar sa China.
Then, what are your suggestions on what actions the Philippines must take to not be the losing end of the matter?
For the Philippines not lose Spratly Islands to China, this case must be handled by the international court to settle this dispute, and then laws, legal basis must be the basis of the claims of territory, not by old maps, and then
I also think that it should be the international court will be the one who decides between two countries. And yes, the Philippines yung dapat pauskan dun na since kasi right sa territory sa Philippines, so ato dyan despite sa pagka-power sa China. Kini nga issue, lisod dyan siya hatagan og action. Especially nga ato ang kaatbang jud kay si China, nga known nga country nga mga isog og palaban. But as a Filipino, kinahanglan sad natong protektahan ang para sa atoa. Actually, ang Spratly Island dako kay na og tabang sa atoang ekonomiya.
Well, the Philippines has talked with the United Nations over that dispute and had diplomatic connections. And by the very end, there has been a verdict by the United Nations that the Spratly Islands solely belong to the Filipinos. However, the Chinese are still jeopardizing that verdict and are building facilities on that Spratly Island. And I guess it is about time that we make alliance or connections with other states, not just the United States, but also to countries like Japan and others.
For me, as a student and as a concerned citizen of the country, I think one of the means or my suggestions to that is in a diplomatic way. For me, the nations involved, the China and the Philippines and all other neighboring countries involved there, must be consistently on good mo follow sa international law. But we have international law, but the only problem here is that it is implemented, but the problem is it lacks monitoring.
All in all, based on the responses, is that my suggestions about this matter is that we Filipinos must fight not by having a bloodshed, instead to fight our rights and sovereignty rights that we have in our territory, especially in our exclusive economic zone. Another thing is that in order to protect our territory, we must have a strong political will, multilateral agreements, and submitting petitions to UNCLOS tribunal. This will only happen if our president will take action about it, because the president have the power of this legal matter. We don't want to be a puppet forever to a large countries like China, so we must voice out what we want and what rights do we have to be able to gain the success and to bring back our territory.